policy, and let's get the intellectuals, the academics and the scholars of the world actually doing their work, earning their salary, and joining up all the scattered pieces of information and knowledge that are out there. There's tons of knowledge and information. We know that what I'm saying is correct, yet people can't join the pieces up enough to actually do it. And instead we're being run by people with no morality and no joined up intelligence. And it's the same in Russia. You know, I have a deep regard and affection for the Russian, Slavic, Polish, Czech, Slovenian, you know, all the Slavic peoples. And they also need to be thinking about peace policy. In my experience, they have been. When I went to Moscow in 1990, talking to Russian philosophers, they were very interested in peace policy. Well, I know they still are. My colleague, Professor Shumakov, is still active. So I think this is a pan-European, a global project. It's what I'm working with the World Intellectual Forum on. We need a global peace policy, which includes America. It doesn't exclude anyone. Includes China, because obviously China is a huge part of the human history and human story, and their greatest sages have always said peace is preferable to war. So let's unite the work of intellectuals around the planet and find solutions, because things like this war that took place between Armenia and Azerbaijan, you know, that's not peace policy in action. That's stupidity and ignorance and folly by people that think old-style politics and war is the way to go forward. No, it's not. That's national egotism and complete folly. So that's one of the things the World Intellectual Forum is trying to heal. So yes, I've talked about the Tory sleaze and the corruption that we've seen this week. But I don't think just getting Owen Patterson to resign is enough. I think I listened to the interview with John Major, who I used to respect as a moderate conservative, saying he's utterly disgusted with the way that Boris Johnson has handled the whole thing. And of course, we all ought to be. I mean, the man should be resigning. I mean, it's him that should go, not just Owen Patterson. I mean, and Rees-Mogg, likewise, should go, because it turns out that he was part of a sort of think tank that thought up the whole, oh, well, to save Owen, I tell you what we'll do, we'll tear up the rule book and rewrite it. I mean, these people have become drunk on power and arrogant and think that because they've pushed their stupid Brexit idea through, they can do anything, as if there's no moral checks in the universe. Well, as a Druid, I would say there is Dharma, there is truth, and it always catches up with you. I mean, I'm ashamed of people like Rees-Mogg. These are not British fellow citizens of mine. They're people who've learned how to game the system for their own personal ego advantage. And they're like demonic forces that have troubled the soul of my country long enough. So I've been involved with the Liberal Democrat Forum, the Social Democrat Forum, this last week. We've had some good meetings, and the people of Britain are rallying to try and oppose these Tories. The people of Gloucestershire just voted a Tory out in one of the council elections. You know, we need to, every election from now on, we have to just get rid of the Tories, and we have to have a united progressive rainbow coalition, if you want, of Greens, SNP, Labour and Lib Dems and Plaid Cymru, and the Rainbow Alliance in Northern Ireland, and I would invite Sinn Féin to be part of that. You know, they also don't like the Tories. Their problem is they won't take up the seats in Westminster, which is a bit of a pain. But there are plenty of progressive forces in Northern Ireland who, could be persuaded. And this is how it has to proceed, in my opinion. I'm speaking as a philosopher. You know, if something is wrong, you have to fix it. That's what doctors do, and I'm speaking as a doctor of philosophy. I'm also running a course coming up in the new year on non-killing with a colleague from India who is an expert in the whole field of non-killing studies, sort of non-violence, but specifically homing in on how we can create a planet in which killing is not privileged, but rather non-killing. I think that's to do with demilitarizing the planet. It's to do with lessening the global warming of the mind, because the warming of hot passions of hatred and nationalism fuel military spending, fuel fear, which then get used, and that creates killing, you know. So it's all connected, and I'll be teaching a course in the new year. You can contact me for details. It's being run from India. But it's not all doom and gloom. I don't want to end with I don't want you to get a sort of sad feeling from my talks. You see, there is a force that's strong enough to solve all these problems. There is a force which celebrates the mysteries, which knows the inner wisdom of all this. We can call that love, if you want. Love is that interconnectedness of all people, that each religion, each mystery tradition celebrates in its own language, in its own words. Christians celebrate the birth of the Christ child at Christmas as that moment when that incarnates onto the planet. Druids celebrate it in either Christian or slightly diverse ways, and the same with all the other traditions. You know, the Buddhists celebrate the Kalachakra Tantra, the great wheel of time, when the initiations come round. It's very similar to the wheel of Taranis, who was called the wheel god. What we need to do is shift, you know, crank the wheel around so we get out of this Kali Yuga, which is this time of darkness and lies and ignorance and deliberate ignorance. Crank the wheel around so we get back into the time of truth, Sat Yuga, which is why I proposed the veracity oath in Parliament, and we'll continue to push that forward as a policy. So look, there's a few little glimpses of what I've been doing this week. And I've also been, busy with many other things, but I'm not going to go into it all. You know, if you want to play a role, help, join my Institute of Peace Studies and Global Philosophy, then there's plenty of work needs doing. Wherever you are in the world, you know, you can help, you can write stuff, you can help with our journal. I publish the only journal of the world in love, academically, so, you know, if you want to write something for us and help edit the work, please get in touch. There's a lot to be done. Look on the website and stuff. I'm going to finish with a poem, is my want, because I love poetry. Sometimes only poetry can say everything when other words fail. So let me find a poem that's not too long. Okay, well, here's a nice poem. It's called a praise poem to the sun. And since, you know, the sun is getting weaker in the sky all the time here in the northern hemisphere, I'm sure it's getting warmer in the southern hemisphere. My friends down south, I hope you're enjoying it. But let's just pause and do a praise poem to the sun. Although you focused on the unity, everything kept breaking up into shards. Although you agreed to somersault beyond yourself, everything became a worship to an unknown goddess. Although the way to harmony resides within you, it is always reminding you of Buddha's smiles. And there is a strange gravitational pull towards collective enlightenment. But like the silk's scarf's slowness, it's taking too long. Although the heat of it pares us down to emotional stories, the ones you meet again and again, and who keep coming back to you each time. So you're both still ascending and descending, and the angels are trying to administer everything, rayed out like a rainbow, like the Roi du Soleil, like the sun of all kings, pouring and outpouring light as love, grace as fire, kisses as red wine, bodies as bliss, spells as muses, poems as remembrances, enwrapments as watery wombs. all in a flash. That's how it's supposed to be. That we, earthbound souls, God droplets, get to be here in these plasma-formed bodies. And for how long? And through what openings? And with what permissions? And on whose authority? Only the hot sun answers and explains all of it at once, with its light that is atomic as plurifold, energizing as keter, all netters intertwining, all Sephiroth uprising and downrising at once, songs from the cacophony emerging, and the unutterable trees of life waving around us in this grove of incalculable dreams. Praise poem to the sun. Thank you.